Welcome to a much-anticipated edition of Rick and Bubba University, the podcast. Bubba, could we be any more stoked, any more excited about this edition of Rick and Bubba University?
Rick, we are pumped. We've been a fan of this man for a long time. We've wanted to have him on the show. We wanted to have him on the podcast. And today is the day. He's two-time Coach of the Year. He's head coach at Mississippi State University, Mike Leach. Coach, welcome to the Rick and Bubba Show, Rick and Bubba University, the podcast.
No, I appreciate your having me on. I've heard a lot about you guys, and I've gotten calls from friends as far away as Wyoming and as far east as Georgia, and they, it's kind of funny because you've got a big fan out there in Wyoming, up in around Pinedale, Wyoming, who went to high school with my I went to high school with his dad, and I think that some circuitous course, that's kind of how we got in touch with each other.
Well, you know this, Coach. I mean, this has been your life. If you can't go through the normal procedures and the normal avenues, you just find a way to make it happen. So we just went on the air and said, look, if anybody knows Coach Leach, get us in touch with him. We want to have him on. And as you said, we worked it through an old friend. We even have a listener who's a huge fan of you as a coach at Washington State, and he heard us trying to get you to the SEC, because we've been trying to get you in the SEC for years. And he would beg us, please stop. We do not want him to leave.
He was mad at us.
Yeah, he even emailed me today and said, don't blow it with Coach Leach. Y'all finally have him, so go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you, it was great. I really liked it out there at Washington State. It's a great place, great people, great fans, and then but also sometimes you want to see what's on the other side of the mountain, and so it's great to be back in the SEC.
Well, Coach, we just think you're good for football. We think you're good for the SEC West, and we're glad to have you on today. We want you to have a good time. We always have a good time, and we want you to have one too. Coach, is there anything particular you want to talk about or don't want to talk about today?
Yeah, we're wide open.
I'm pretty good on everything. It's like all those things. If I answer pretty much any question, I don't always address the question. I might talk about whatever I feel like talking about then, but kind of a Bill Clinton approach.
Well, Coach, let me ask you this. We'll start with a fun one, and we'll kind of work our way back into football and then some other things. But if you had a walkout song as coach of the Mississippi State Bulldogs, something that reflected your personality, what would you tell them to play for you?
Oh, like you being like the on deck circle.
Yeah, like the baseball players get.
Yeah,
right.
here comes Coach Mike Leach, and they should play what song?
Oh man, that's a great question. Because I'll tell you, I'll see players, and sometimes I'll be giving my wife a bad time, and I'll tell her that'd be her song if she's in a movie and walks on the screen, what would be a good one? When I was a kid, we listened to Fire on the Mountain a lot, and I grew up in Cody, Wyoming, and I listened to Fire on the Mountain quite a bit because even though the Marshall Tucker band wasn't from anywhere near Wyoming, they would come through and do concerts sometimes.
That's a good one. So what about let's get real serious for a minute. You came, of course, to Mississippi State, and you're not unfamiliar with the South. We talked about this. As a matter of fact, my dad, Bill Burgess, was head football coach at Jacksonville State University from 85 to 97. I
actually met him. We played them.
Oh yeah, at Valdosta State, yeah.
Yeah, we played them. We played them in an epic game in the snow, or kind of the freezing rain.
Yeah, and so when I heard you on another podcast talking about the heat in Valdosta, I remember going on the road when Dad was coaching at Jacksonville State and going to the Valdosta Jacksonville State games that would be in Valdosta. Not that Jacksonville is a warm place. I mean, a cooler place. But there's something about the heat in Valdosta
and the humidity.
And the humidity,
trapped in there.
Yeah, so it's not like you haven't been there before.
No, I mean Valdosta's got crazy heat because you're right on the shores of the Okefenokee Swamp. And so it's real humid, almost vacuum humid heat. And as humid as the South gets, it's more humid in Valdosta because we're in the Gulf South Conference where we play teams from Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Arkansas. And, you know, as you talk to the coaches and the guys on the other teams, they would all complain about the heat in Valdosta. And it was hot. And actually our setting there in Valdosta was kind of like the one at Jacksonville State was. I mean, you come to our stadium and it was tight quarters. And we always drew well, too. At Valdosta, even though Division II, we draw 13,000 people. And then there'd be barbecues going on outside. There'd be like kind of sections, neighborhoods in the stands where, you know, these were these fans, those were those fans, and all the different type of groups, you know, and they'd yell and scream. And what a great place playing in Valdosta.
Yeah, so Mississippi State weather. I mean, people were talking about you coming from. I said he doesn't get. He's been to Valdosta. This is nothing to him. I mean, being in the Deep South is not new to Mike Leach.
Yeah, Valdosta is hotter than it gets here, but it's very pleasant here. I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm looking out on a pond, and it's probably going to be 75 degrees today, and. It's outstanding. As a matter of fact, I went paddleboarding out here yesterday, and the thing I didn't understand, even though it wasn't that warm, yesterday was probably in the 60s, the mid-60s, but for whatever reason, the water in this pond's real warm. I don't know why. I mean, because it's remarkably warm when you consider that it hasn't even totally warmed up yet.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to it yet. Let me ask you another question because you've had comments about this in the past, and Bubba and I have talked about this on the show. Does it surprise you that the sport of football, there's not one football team at any level that we can find that uses the mascot, the rhino? How can a football team not be called the Rhinos?
Seems like that would be.
Why has that never happened?
I don't know. You know, in Texas, there's a team called the Hutto Hippos,
right.
But it is disturbing. I think there's a few that get left out. I mean, there's way too many. There's way too many tigers. Right. Okay. There's too many bulldogs. Only Mississippi State should be the Bulldogs, and everybody else should have to think of their own damn mascot. And then. But I think there's too few. There's too few sharks. There's too few gorillas. There's like you say, I can't think of any rhinos. I mean, how outstanding would that be? Rhino, that's got football written all over it.
Yeah, can you imagine that
silver and black?
Picture, yes. Picture, the big image on the scoreboard. I mean, this giant rhino, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to, and then the welcome to the field, your rhino, and the rhino comes through the screen, and you see it running, and this stampede of rhinos, and your team hits the field. I mean, our hats have got the giant horn coming out of the top of them. How rhino has never made it as a mascot of a football team is beyond me.
And their biggest sponsor is that group that paint the bed of the trucks, that stuff, rhino cover.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, that'd be awesome, especially down here. One of the greatest, most legendary Division II teams, I think we were Division II then, but was the Pitt State Gorillas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We played them in the national championship twice.
Was it twice?
Twice.
Or three
yeah,
times?
they beat Jacksonville State one year, and then Jacksonville State come back 2 years later and beat them again.
Well, how about that though? You go into the stands, so you go into the stadium, and the student section is over there by the visitors tunnel, and those students and they start playing "Welcome to the Jungle." Okay.
Oh yeah.
As the opponent gets ready to come out there on the field, those students are all armed with bananas.
Yes, I see it.
Just firing them at the opponent. Getting drilled in the helmet with bananas. And, hey, you're in the jungle now, you know.
Gosh, that's a great
And the
idea.
concession stand sells banana splits.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Pittsburgh State.
That's a win-win for me.
And like I say, we played them 2 years in a row at Jacksonville State, lost one and then won the other. It might have been 2 out of 3 years. But, yeah, I saw that, and I thought, man, this has been underutilized. I can't believe there's not more teams called the Gorillas. And, frankly, I'm aghast at no use of rhinos. Coach Mike Leach is our guest, and we'll be right back with more with him when Rick and Bubba University, the podcast, continues. All right, Coach Mike Leach, our guest, our long sought-after guest. Now, I don't know if you know this, Coach, but one of my middle sons actually attends Mississippi State, so I've been going to the games. I've been doing the tailgating, and then you finally get to Mississippi State. We're fired up. We're stoked. And then, boom, the pandemic hits, no tailgating, hardly any fans allowed in the stands.
Strange year.
What in the world was that like for you to make the transition to a new team only to discover you've got to play your first season in a pandemic? What in the world was that like?
You know, they kept you pretty occupied with by changing the story, changing the news, and changing the direction every few days. I mean, it was it was a very joyless period. You come and everybody's excited about football, and that's whether you're new or not. You know, I mean. Just the opportunity to go play, the opportunity to practice, the opportunity to be in an exciting place and get to know interesting, exciting people. And, you kind of just waited for the next shoe to fall. And even now, today I have a call with the conference, on how we're going to do, thoughts on stuff like off season and things. And, even now we're trying to put together schedules to counterpunch COVID. And, it was a nuisance, and it was it was disrupting everything we did, really. I mean, I got it really early on. Like just when you started hearing about it in the newspapers, I went and did a conference in Boston. I spoke at the Sloan Athletic Conference at MIT, and then they plane full of Boston people to and from, and evidently the pandemic hit there first. And actually 2 weeks later, there was an article in the newspaper about people getting it from the conference center there in Boston. Anyway, I was one of them. And so then there was spring break, so I was in Key West, and a day later, I had COVID, and I had all the stuff. And it was 2.5 days. It's a total, kind of a bad flu, and then after that, you need to sleep a lot, at least in my case. But it was shrouded in mystery then, because you couldn't test for it, and nobody knew exactly what it was, and wash your hands a lot and stay away from everybody. And so anyway, so it went, and then they said, well, don't come back to campus. That was the exact week that they started closing schools. Don't come back to campus. So we're doing all this stuff by phone, and in the midst of all this, I mean, dare I say, government control comes to mind.
Oh yeah.
And but I'll tell you this: occasionally you got guys that aren't excited to practice. I haven't had any guys not excited to practice, including last year's semi-marathon season. I mean, guys are really excited to practice once they're deprived the opportunity to be around one another and work. They're thrilled to work, be around each other. I think is a thing that everybody missed the most.
Coach, since we're on the COVID-19, Rick and I both had it too. Had fairly mild cases. What are your thoughts on the vaccine? Or have you got it? Are you going to get it? What's your general take on that?
I'm kind of curious. I mean, I think we've all developed some trust issues in the midst of, the government, the CDC, and the vaccine in general. But also, I have a lot of confidence in our country having the ability to find solutions to problems when they really focus on them. And so I haven't got the vaccine yet. It's mainly been just because I've been busy and doing all the other stuff, and I don't know what category I fit in, but I think pretty quick when they open it up to everybody, then I can get one. And but I'll at the same time I'm kind of looking, wait and see. It's almost like watching food testers a little bit. You know what I mean?
Every day, every day we know a little more, don't we?
Yeah, we still have the antibodies, and there's no way I'm gonna get it until the antibodies have faded away because it doesn't make any sense to me. And I've heard all but your antibodies won't protect you from a variant. I don't know that I buy that or not. And somehow magically the vaccine will. So that I'm with you.
Well, I'm banking on my antibodies lasting a long, long time.
Well, it's just hard when they say the shot's supposed to make you have antibodies. I've already got them. Why do I need the shot?
Thanks. I have some.
I mean, I'm not a doctor, but
the other thing is they get the shot, and then they're still wearing the mask the whole time. I mean, why am I going to go get a shot if I have to wear the mask anyway,
Coach, exactly. We've said all along that Fauci may be a great doctor and he may know viruses, but he don't know PR, because if you want everybody to get vaccinated, you got to give him a carrot at the end of this of no mask.
Yeah, he has no future in the sports information department because he doesn't know how to sell tickets. Look, if you want people to go,
well, he's made his 15 minutes last longer than Lance Ito was able to make his last.
That's true. Yeah, hey, Fauci, if you want people to get the vaccine, don't sell them on go ahead and take it and nothing changes.
Yeah,
that's not a good selling point.
Yeah, that doesn't get me fired up.
Yeah, get us out of this mask. You may have us with rolling our sleeves up.
Yeah, you tell me I go to SEC football game, I'll get 2 shots and roll on.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that was a whole nother adventure. The wearing the mask during the games. I mean, heck, I don't get near anybody anyway. Yeah, but we're out there with masks, and it's a different story.
Yeah, we'll come back. I want to ask you some more about the actual coaching experience in the middle of that when our conversation with Coach Mike Leach continues on Rick and Bubba University, the podcast. All right, so Bubba, let's talk a little bit about Patriot Mobile. They just expanded their coverage dramatically, which will make it easier for even more Americans to dump the big name carriers who are charging, in a lot of opinions, and I agree, way too much. And then you feel kind of odd because you're stuck with these carriers that sometimes politically then take the money they've taken from you and then they go support a lot of leftist organizations that you may not want to support. And you think, well, Rick, I don't have a choice. We talk about this on the show all the time. Yep. Well, I mean, give me a choice and then I may make the move. Well, Patriot Mobile does give you a choice. They never send a penny to any of these organizations. They'll never silence you. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And you can switch with confidence because they use the same network as the larger providers, but they charge much less. And switching is easy. You keep your phone number, bring your own phone if you want to, or you can buy a new one. Build your own bundle with a multi-line discount, save even more. So here's what you need to do. Here's our call to action. Go to patriotmobile.com/RickBubba. That's patriotmobile.com/RickBubba. You can also call their U.S.-based customer service team at 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-PATRIOT. Now, veterans and first responders, you're going to save even more. This month, get free Premier Activation where they set up the phone for you and a special gift with our offer code Rick Bubba. That's PatriotMobile.com, Rick Bubba. PatriotMobile.com/Rick Bubba or 972-PATRIOT. Rick and Bubba University with Coach Mike Leach today, and we're talking about him first year in the SEC as head coach at Mississippi State, and it turns into a pandemic year, and we talked about all the challenges of, hey, we're going to play a SEC-only schedule. We're not going to have hardly anybody in the stands. We're not going to tailgate. You may be able to practice today. You may not. Contact tracing. Oh, wear a mask while you're out on an open field. It was a lot to have to deal with, but hopefully that is behind, and maybe this season looks a little different.
Coach, let me ask you this from a strategy standpoint. The SEC is a tough conference. The SEC West is, I think, easily you can say the toughest division in all of college football. How do you deal with having the Alabama team right there in Tuscaloosa? They've been wildly successful under Nick Saban. How do you ever cut into that success? How are you going to help change that balance of power in the SEC West? How do you even approach that?
I don't know, but I'm the kiss of death when it comes to, wherever I end up, they end up being the toughest division in the country. Think about it. So I was in Oklahoma, and then I go to Texas Tech, and in the Big 12 South was indisputably the toughest division in football at the time, and were previously not so much. But every year we'd wake up, and in the top five you'd have Oklahoma, Texas, and Nebraska. Just in the top five, and heck, we had to play those suckers,
Yeah.
And then I go to the Pac-12, and that's when the Pac-12 North is raging and breathing fire. Although I think at the time I was in the Pac-12, that's about the time when the SEC West really emerged. Because when I was in the SEC the first time at Kentucky, that was back in the day when nobody thought in history ever, throughout their lifetimes, always the SEC East would be the best. And that was, think about the quarterback, just the quarterbacks alone. So you had Danny Warfel at Florida, you had Peyton Manning at Tennessee, you had Tim Couch at Kentucky, you had Quincy Carter at Georgia. Yeah, no one would ever defeat the SEC East, So then, it didn't take too long. The power transferred to SEC West, and that was kind of it happened quite rapidly, really. And then, but anyway, so I guess to answer your question, it's kind of business as usual. You scratch and claw and try to become the best team you can, and practice. I think, to me, practice is the funnest part of it. I love games, but they don't let you have games every day. As you see guys improve and get better and do the things that they do and just do them better. And so, yeah, I really like practice, and I think that's where you start to see your team shape up, and then, in the end, you just do the best you can. That's all you can control is, like John Wooden used to say, your best is always enough, and because that's all you got. And if you keep doing your best, then you're going to raise that ceiling, and then, and then the other thing is you'll see sometimes a team's good enough to beat somebody, but they're just not, gritty enough or tough enough to believe they can. And so, that's the thing. That program at Alabama, that didn't happen overnight. That thing's been building for decades, even if they have a year that's not as good as the last one or the next one. But that thing's been building for decades, and so you just got to build and plug away.
So, what do you think at Mississippi State? Do you think one of the things, first of all, I think any program that has any long-term success, I'm not talking about flash in the pan, but long-term success, at some point they have to figure out who they are. And then they have to do what they do extremely well, recruit for that, and no matter coaches come and go as far as assistants like you've seen at Alabama, as long as there's some sort of system. I know that Saban calls it process, and that's fine. But even when my dad was coaching, his teams, he had his philosophies. He knew how he thought you won football games. He recruited the type of player, not just athletically, but attitude and everything. And then he established a program. And I think now with all the things that are allowed to happen with transferring portals and all these different things, establishing a program seems to be harder than it's ever been because of the constant change. But do you think at Mississippi State one of the things ahead of you is for them to actually, like you said, get a mindset instead of we may win, we may not. Let's get a mindset that we actually expect to win. Because when you get that attitude, a team that expects to win, when the game's going sour, they go, well, now we're going to have to find a more difficult way to eventually win this game. A team that has an attitude of an inferiority complex says, well, here we go again. So how do you change that mentality?
I'll tell you that, first of all, I think a team definitely needs an identity. I mean, that's the most important thing as far as being able to accomplish anything. Who are you? I mean, what are you as a team? And and I think you want to be as specific as you can. What's your philosophy, offense, defense, special teams, and then what's your, even just the basic, how your team carries themselves. One thing we talk about early and often is body language. I mean, have good body language and make sure that the other team can see that you have good body language, that your body language is such that it affects somebody around you to be better or to pick them up. Okay, and then the other thing I think with regard to the mentality, that is really one of the toughest things, and that's one of the things that I've thought most about, really, as I went to Tech, as I went to Washington State, all of them, hadn't won so much before. You got to feel like, there's a point where you got to feel like you're worthy of the victory.
Yeah.
If you got those guys superior and things like that, you're not going to let yourself win the thing. You might as well not even be there, But, the thing about it is there's surprises every week.
Yeah.
There's surprises every week. And so, and kind of like the Boston Red Sox that won the World Series carried it through, they were underdogs. Why not us? The whole why not us thing. And
correct.
But there's surprises every week. And so one of those surprises might as well be you,
Yeah, why not?
to the positive, I mean, screw everybody else's surprise. No, the only surprise that counts is right here,
Right.
And then, I don't know, then there's a point to where you can I think one thing is if you can kind of make it fun and people are kind of rallying around that type of thing. And it's not just a matter of telling them the thing like I'm telling you. I mean, there's a point to where it's just there's a collective energy that takes place with a team and with a group. I mean, they call it momentum, and I've heard guys say there isn't momentum. Well, those people are out of their mind. It's when a whole group of people all think or do things at the same time. It's almost like occasionally you'll go into a bar somewhere and you'll see a bachelorette party. Okay, like where they have all the energy, all the costumes somewhat similar, thinking and talking the same way. Well, if you can get your team to have a unified mentality, then I think that it really makes kind of it brings the people together in a way where they almost get distracted with the being together, the teamwork, all for one, one for all. That they'll just make the most out of capturing the moment. And everybody's felt that before too, where you get to the point in the game, and you almost know the answer, the result of the play before you call it or before you run it, because you're all on the same page. And the thing is, if you think about it, that's all just a bunch of decisions, and you somehow have to get everybody on that team making that same decision at the same time. And when you do, it's tough to stop. And a good example of it is I've been behind games, like behind, just outright behind. Okay, we kick a field goal right before half going in.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're still behind. Okay, but I remember against Nebraska one time. Okay, we're still behind. Our team is so all excited. We kicked a field goal. Yeah, okay, now that's the way we do it. We can do it over and over. And then everybody on the other team, they're upset, hanging their head. Well, that energy shouldn't change that easily, but it does. It does, and it can.
So we're going to come back and talk to Coach Leach and ask some what we would call suggested questions and things from the Rick and Bubba audience that they want us to ask Coach Leach when we continue with Rick and Bubba University, the podcast. All right, so, Bubba, let's talk a little bit about Bambee, Bambee, because let's face it, if you need an HR manager and you're a small company, how about they don't just, they're not inexpensive. That demands a high salary, $70,000 on average a year. And you may be a small company saying, look, I need to handle the HR issues because they can kill my business. But wow, what an investment. I think we may have the answer for you.
Got it.
Spell it out, Bambee, created specifically for small businesses. You can get a dedicated HR manager, craft HR policy, and maintain your compliance, all for just $99 a month. See, with Bambee, you can change HR from the biggest liability and turn that into your biggest strength. Your dedicated HR manager is available by phone, email, or real-time chat, and they handle people coming on board to terminations. They customize your policies to fit your business, and they help you manage your employees day-to-day, all for just $99 a month. And I'm talking about that's straightforward. There's going to be no hidden fees, and if you don't like it, you can cancel anytime. So right now, why don't you go to Bambee.com/Rick Bubba and schedule your free HR audit. That's BAMBEE.com/Rick and Bubba. Spell out BAM, B-A-M, and then BEE.com/Rick Bubba, and get your free HR audit today.
Coach Mike Leach of the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Coach, we had listeners call in during the show today and ask us questions that they wanted us to ask you, or listed questions. So I want to throw a couple of them at you real quick. If you could be and do a cameo in a TV show or a movie, what TV show or movie would you like to do a cameo in?
Well, the only one I ever have was Friday Night Lights. I was in Friday Night Lights in the 4th season, which that was kind of fun. I'll tell you one. Honestly, what I'd love to do a cameo in, and I watch an episode. I started watching an episode every night before I go to bed. I'd like to do a cameo in Gunsmoke.
Matt Dillon.
You're watching Gunsmoke now.
Oh yeah, I'm on the real early ones where he walks through Boot Hill at the beginning of the episode. I mean, right now I'm so early. Festus isn't on there yet.
Wow, so you found these on one of these streaming apps or something?
Well, I found it somewhere on the TV, and and everybody's seen Gunsmoke, or well, I don't know if I want to meet people that haven't, but
right.
The Gunsmoke. There's a, and then you see some newer ones, some older ones. Well, this had it split up by season. So I'm on season 1 of
Oh, that's
Gunsmoke.
fantastic. Fantastic.
Well, that's good. You got a few to go.
So the very first episode, okay? The very first episode, because I guess Gunsmoke asked John Wayne to be Matt Dillon, okay? And then they named James Arness Matt Dillon. But at the beginning of the first episode, John Wayne, introduces James Arness. How about that?
I didn't know that.
No, I didn't either.
Huh. So you'd like to make a cameo on that one?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the things you've talked about in the past. Do you remember when your former quarterbacks, Jesse Brown, by any chance? I think he played for you, maybe.
Yeah, I do.
Did you know?
Yeah, he's rodeoing. Where's he at now?
They say he's like one of the best steer wrestlers in the country. Did you know that?
No, but it wouldn't surprise me. And randomly, I have several years back, a guy put Snapchat on my phone. I don't even know how to do it, but I do know how to. When you get to it, you poke the thing, and sometimes the stuff will pop up. Well, anyway, Jesse Brown pops up, asking, who wants to be friends or whatever. So, yeah, Jesse Brown. I wanted to keep up with Jesse Brown because, he was a backup quarterback for me, and I was always kind of impressed with him. And then just a good guy. I mean, he thought he should play more than I thought he should play. But anyway, from Oregon, and then but I was always curious and always a little captivated by the fact he was into rodeo. And so I have seen him, going to his rodeo events, whatever he puts on Snapchat. I've seen that because I'd get rid of it. And I would have got rid of it years ago, but my daughter puts clips of the grandkids on there. And so that's the biggest reason it still exists. But, and then I had talked to Jesse about it because I'm from Cody, Wyoming, which refers to itself as the rodeo capital of the world because they have a rodeo virtually every day in the summer. And then so everybody will come through there. No matter how good you are, everybody will come through there. Yeah. But how did you run across Jesse?
A caller to the show today said, ask him about Jesse Brown and tell him that he's a premier steer wrestler.
Because when I didn't realize he was steer wrestling as much, and it wouldn't surprise me. I thought he was roping at the time, but anyway, I knew he got into rodeo, and I also know that he stuck with it because he pops up on the Snapchat with belt buckles and Wranglers and pickups headed somewhere. Being a rodeo guy's. And these two worlds never meet. But being a rodeo guy is kind of like being a surfer. You're always traveling. Yeah. Always traveling to the next event, and then in and out of the doctor's office in some cases. If not that, the vets. And but it's a lifestyle that would be pretty fun. I mean, if I've always thought it would be, the thing that gets you is all the people you meet and. I'm going to meet up with so-and-so in Cheyenne. Well, hey, are you going to Santa Fe? Yeah, I'm going to Santa Fe. How about Denver City? Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I'm going to Denver City, but I'll be up in the real Denver when that one happens. So it goes. So, but all over Wyoming, there's rodeo, and then and then of course, I think Jesse. I don't know if he's from around Pendleton or where, but anyway.
Maybe he should have played safety. I mean, he might have got more time.
He's roping and wrestling steer.
Coach, let me ask you.
He was built that he could wrestle steer. The big chest and stuff like that. He might have to bring his horse to play safety, but no, I enjoyed coaching him but anyway that. And then I didn't know how long he'd stick with it, but I know he's still in it in some form or fashion. Yeah. Sure.
Coach, your love of pirates has been well documented, and of course our listeners wanted to know your favorite pirate and why.
Well, and there's actually a pretty good pirate deal on TV right now, called Pirate Kingdom. Somebody told me about, which kind of gives some interesting history and stuff on them. Well, Blackbeard's hard to ignore just because, very, just a very unique, dynamic guy. I mean, he's a big, huge guy and a very ruthless guy. And then, and went up and down the coast and is closer to, where, we know about and relate to. And then you had some really efficient pirates that were literally businessmen, like Bartholomew Roberts, Black Bart, who he'd have a fleet. He didn't drink either. And then you have Black Caesar. There were two Black Caesars down in the Key West area, and then there's another guy, a fan from out in Catalina Island, sent me a chunk of a ship. And it was from my old wrecked Chinese pirate ship.
Wow.
And sent me, so I got a cool board that I'm going to hang on my wall,
Oh, man, let me tell you, that's fantastic. Now, we don't have it. How do you ask Mike Leach one more question with 3 minutes to go in the podcast?
I know. We got to get one in. You got one?
Yeah, well, people want to ask you, but again, this could be something you should be paid to say, but somebody's asking, what's your favorite food you found in Starkville so far?
Yeah, favorite place to eat.
Well, there's so many. That's a half-hour debate right there.
Well, I have to come over there a lot, and I'm wondering, am I missing someplace? I mean, is there some kind of side that you can go, look, Burgess, don't forget this one. You got to come to this one.
Well, there's so many. Okay, first of all, I've never had a bad meal at Harvey's, and Harvey's is a mainstay.
Yeah, I like Harvey's.
Starkville Cafe. I mean, that's just old school home-style food. Great breakfast. The barbecue, you're at that discussion for a while. You got Little Dewey's. They just closed Petty's, which broke my heart. The one off the beaten path is the Spotlight Cafe. Then Moe's is good. I'm leaving somebody out. I'm trying to think.
Now, what was that cafe you just mentioned? Because I don't think I've hit that cafe yet. What was it called? The one you said a little off the beaten path?
Spotlight Cafe. Spotlight Cafe.
Okay, yeah, that's one I have. I don't think I've tried that one yet, so I'll have to do that.
Okay, and then great seafood is WTF, which allegedly stands for where the food's at.
Okay.
And I think the fact that you can go both ways depending on what mood you're in may help. But the seafood there is utterly outstanding. A lot of items, Two Brothers has great wings. So does WTF. WTF, just all the boiled seafood stuff. Oh, also, I like Frozen Babies. I'm leaving a bunch of them out because, the one thing I love about here is there's all these kind of non-chain places.
You got to. I mean, nothing against
mom and pop
against the chains, but I mean, cause there's nothing like we have one location and it's here in the where you live.
Yeah, well, in WTF, if you want the boiled, the shrimp, the Dungeness crab, the wings, just get it all in a stack there. I mean,
just get a pile of it.
It's outstanding.
All right, so let me ask you this, Coach, and this is where we're just going to be transparent with you, okay? We've only got about a minute left. We desire to be friends with you.
We want to be your friend,
and this relationship has been difficult for us to start, and I know today's just a beginning. You can't commit to this now. But I just want you to know that Rick and Bubba, we want to hang out. I'm wearing my Mississippi State shirt right now. I've got a kid there. We want you to be on the show more, and I know everybody does. But we have this bad habit in the past where like we interview people and we make a connection and we kind of think like we're friends. but then they don't really feel that way, and we're kind of delusional about it. Are you open to start at least as an acquaintance and try to work to some sort of friendship here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the great thing about down here is, I call my son Bubba because he was born in Valdosta.
Great.
And if you say Bubba, I mean, everybody will turn their head, so you got everybody's attention, which I find to be a pretty good system. Because
especially at Walmart.
Then you just pick out the fellow you want, and then Key West, they kind of do it a little different. But in Key West, like one of their deals down there, everything's followed with Bubba. All right, you got me, Bubba? Or you say goodbye to somebody. All right, Bubba. And then, all right, Bubba, I'm heading out. Hey, Bubba, you want to go fishing tomorrow? Yeah, I mean,
okay.
Everybody, no, I'd be happy to be on. I'd be happy to be on any time. And if we play well, then usually I have good sportsmanship. If we play bad, I mean, I have bad sportsmanship, but no, I mean that's what's exciting about this whole thing is everybody together watching how it unfolds.
Amen. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're. Well, you can hear us there locally on Laser 96.1, so you can keep up with us there. Just remember 96.1 there in Starkville, and of course those of you that are catching this, the maroon and white game is coming up this Saturday. The baseball team takes on Ole Miss, so there's a lot going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday involving baseball and football there at Mississippi State. Coach Leach, thank you for taking time to be with us.
Continued success, sir.
Yeah, and we look forward to hanging out some more.
All right, sounds good. When you come through Starkville, let me know.
All right, we'll look you up. We've got your cell phone now. If Speedy will give it to us. We don't know.
yeah. And the best way is to text.
Okay.
Because I have the thing. The phone actually works, but it says I have it set up voicemail, and it says something to the effect where it makes you believe that the phone may not work. But just text me.
I will.
I think that got Speedy once today, by the way.
So remember, if I text you WTF, it means I want to eat something. We're going to meet. So meet you.
No, you got to go. You got to go there.
He's not questioning your play call. He wants to go eat. Yeah.
Mike Leach, thanks for taking time to be with us on this edition. All of you for being here on Rick and Bubba University, the podcast.